So there I was. I was playing a little bit of piano. You know, just practicing, having a good time. And I realized that Reimu, the character that I main, does not have a single video on this channel with analysis. So we're going to change that. This is Exhibit A of the Remelia matchup, mashing 4A because it has ridiculous frame data. This is not something new. This is something very much... This is a Remelia thing. She does that in all matches. However, Remelia's deceitful ways did not let that work. If you right block a J2A from a Remelia, you can be assured that a border escape will work. However, if you are being very careful and defensive, like GoingUP was here, Remelia can anticipate this and just follow you, basically, without going for any kind of a catch, because after a J2A you can fall down and then hit like J5A and get a counter hit, something like that. But because Hazelyn knew this, she decided to kind of pull back and just maintain that mostly threatening posture of being kind of close to GoingUP while he's in the corner. Now, of course, when you get caught out by a bullet, there's not really much to do. "3A. This is one of Reimu's fantastic moves in this matchup. It will deal with so much that Remelia has in terms of pressure. It's a little bit of a read, because if it whiffs, that's a free punish, but it worked really well here. We can see that GoingUP, knowing that the 3A counter hit would not be convertible, he goes instead for the catch of the air tech, and I believe this is a J2C. No, it's a J2A. He went for a catch to catch Hazelyn air checking, and it didn't work. But because he was going towards the ground and backwards, this J2A is not punishable. GoingUP is always thinking one step ahead. And it traded, because Remelia is deceitful. Sprinkle. Reimu's default 4-2-1 improves by 6 frames of startup from level 0 to level max, which is level 4. This is very strong. It's a very strong move in Sprinkle because it's almost instantaneous. It's hard to react to. The second bullet here was to anticipate Remelia's Dragon Punch, the default 6-2-3, of which Hazelyn is both holding the skill card, has enough spirit to use normally in Sprinkle, which would make it a real DP. So that B bullet is a little bit of a check. And that backdash away was to get away from the threat of an air unblockable 2A, which he narrowly avoided. Sprinkle also is one of Reimu's weathers because her default 6-2-3 turns into a real DP. And if you are up against Reimu and it's Sprinkle, just bait it. Nobody can resist the urge. I've never seen anybody not use DP in Sprinkle as Reimu. It's impossible not to. It's such a good thing. It feels so good. You can land like a 4K conversion off of it. Unfortunately, it leads to this situation most of the time. This is another one of Remelia's deceitful ways, in which she can combo a full combo for almost 2400 damage with not a single ounce of spirit. Your Okizeme, just 5 orbs of spirit, no sweat. Now, the 2A block there. There's not much that Remelia can do after a 2A if you just normal jump or if you just high jump, because the only moves she can do after that are either bullets or 3A. Now, this was an excellent choice of pressure because the 5C blocking that, it puts somebody into a state of fear because they know that it is plus. This was a checkmate opportunity from GUP, and it worked out fantastically. Now, Remelia is once again being deceitful with that low profile. That J6A would have caught most people. However, I believe that GUP may have inputted this he may have inputted this incorrectly. But we forgive him because he plays such a good neutral that he makes up for his sins in conversions and misinputs. Hazelyn, however, did not misinput and got the conversion very well. This was actually a really good air unblockable here from Hazelyn, going from the J5A into the 4A, because she knows that GUP is very border escape happy and very defensive right now and wanting to get out of the pressure. So that was a very good check, and it worked. The whiff J2A there from Hazelyn means that GUP gets to go free. This is the best situation you can be at for Reimu, because you're just falling down with the J5A. If they block it, they lose. If they get hit, they lose. If there's no way they get out of that, you're falling too fast. The stick is out. The stick is out. It's going to hit. And a counter hit. That feels the best. Good feeling. However, unfortunately, the land-cancelled Buster, something that GUP is well known for, did not work because it got land-cancelled. Again, we forgive GUP for his misinputs. The high jump 7 J2B there was very useful because it kept GUP in a situation where even if Hazelyn grazed, he would kind of be in a safe position anyway. It's not directly punishable. Even though he's in pressure now, he didn't just get comboed for throwing a bullet out. The dial A there was just because Hazelyn thought that GUP was going to try to escape. The 2A there was a little bit out of range, though it's a good idea to do that. If you are Hazelyn or you're Remelia in a situation where you go dial, you're not really sure, that your opponent, rather, is not really sure what you're going to do. So you can just kind of throw out a 2A, and it'll usually just work, because Remelia is, once again, quite deceitful. The wrong block into the slightly delayed Buster there was a catch that you can do with Buster. Basically, if you go 6-6A, and then you delay that Buster slightly, what it does is it makes it no longer a tight pressure string, which means that your opponent has an opportunity to act. After a 6-6A, the first instinct is to mash, because Reimu's only options are usually punishable. However, if you leave that little gap, they can start a mash, and that Buster will turn into a counter hit, and you'll get a lot of damage off of it. That was a very excellent catch with J8A into more pressure. Unfortunately, it whiffed, and I believe that's going to be a punish. We forgive GUP for his sins. That was a really nice pressure string. That's something you're going to see a lot from a Remelia, is just those mix-ups. She can usually take out like 3 orbs pretty easily with a string like that. Otherwise, it turns into resets and more meter-oriented pressure with Gungnir or, you know, crushing with the 5 card like Hazelyn is holding here. But if you only have like 3 orbs left, it's totally reasonable to assume that Remelia can crush you with mix-ups from that point. Now, Remelia has some of the fastest walk speed, which is why we saw just a bunch of stuff whiff, because Remelia is deceitful. So she just walks back, and she'll walk back almost faster than Reimu can dash. Reimu's a little slow, Remelia is very fast. Oh, by the way, she's also got like the fastest wake up in the game, so when she's standing up, that's faster than anybody. This was a very nice charge to J5C from GoingUP to anticipate that Hazelyn was going to air tech, because it leads for some very nice pressure, because GoingUP is holding on to both the 2-card jewels and 5-card seal. So this opens up a lot of opportunities, because when you're stuck in the charged J5C block stun, you just kind of have to accept that you're going to eat a couple melees, and there's just not much to do about it. However, GoingUP goes for the air unblockable setup here. I do believe this is reactable. Yeah. And Remelia, once again, being a very incredibly good character. Now we're in Diamond Dust, which means that Remelia just gets free reign to do kind of whatever she wants. So GoingUP is probably going to eat a bunch of 4As. Never mind, a 2A. He almost got crushed, but he waited until that 5C to border escape. It's almost like a game of chicken, because when you get your opponent low on orbs, you expect them to escape out, but if you get them so low that you're ready to crush, you just go for the crush. And how do you do that as Remelia? You go for it with bullets. So if you go for multiple bullets, then Reimu can get out with a border escape, because border escape immediately puts you into a grazing position, so you can just ignore bullets. Again, we forgive GoingUP for his misinputs and bad conversions, because they usually lead to good resets. The reason why GoingUP was very, very careful in that pressure there is because Hazelyn has been holding the 5-card Scarlet Devil this entire time. And that is a reversal, which means that it has invulnerability frames at the startup. So if you use a meaty move at the same time as the startup, you are going to get hit by that reversal, and it's going to do a whole lot of damage. As we see here, GoingUP expected this and blocks it. Barely not getting crushed. He is at like 0.01 orbs here. That is like the lowest amount of non-crushed spirit. I don't even see blue right there. Like, where is his spirit? Okay, the tactical whiffed 6A there. He's a good player, I promise. That was a really nice 2A, 6A. That is such a normal thing for Reimu to do, is 2A, 6A. And it worked out very well, because the 6A turns into like an immediate knockdown, and it didn't really cost any spirit. So GoingUP is regenning spirit, and Hazelyn is knocked down. And the 4A spam is once again as productive as ever. The cool thing about 2A for Remelia is that when it hits, it's pretty much a full conversion from anywhere, no matter what. If you have like one, you don't even have to have spirit. There are combos from the 2A that just limit with no orbs. Like, you can just go 2A, 3A, 2A, and it limits. It's ridiculous. Remelia just doesn't have to try. Right now, GoingUP was trying to kind of bait the reset there. The mash. He was trying to bait the mash. Basically, he's seen that Hazelyn is mashing 4A a whole bunch, so he's trying to go in for staggers to kind of beat that, because staggers beat mash. Because for the same reason that 6A buster tech works, staggering. So if you go like, normally for a dial A, you go 5A, and you hit the buttons and you smash them, and you break your keyboard. However, if you don't make them link in pressure, it leaves this little gap for an opponent to act. So they're not stuck in a tight pressure string, because 5A is tight. However, 4A AA, if spaced correctly and timed correctly, is not tight, which leads for mashing, and it leads for a very cool situation, which I like to call the exploiting somebody's impatience. Basically, if you use 4 AAA and you wait until they start, getting hit by the jab, then you go for a meaty 6A, they're just going to get counter hit, and you turn that into a full combo, because those jabs don't mean anything by themselves, but if you turn them into a 6A conversion because you realize your opponent is really, really impatient, that turns into something. And here is that DP skill that I was talking about earlier. The Demon Lord Cradle. It is Remelia's default 623. It is a DP. It is a really standard one. You use it. If they block, you get punished. If you don't, they get hit and they can tech out. As we see here, GoingUP is going for the angular slice, but I believe that Hazelyn's just going to spam 2A. Yep, it worked. And what do you know it combos from anywhere. That is something that happens in Soku sometimes. I don't know why. I would be absolutely honored if somebody would explain to me why in Soku sometimes you just change directions to the wrong direction and it makes you whiff things. I don't like it. Unfortunately, it is Sun Shower, and this is the end of the game. GoingUP is a very strong player, but Remelia is unfair.